I'm going to demonstrate now how to prepare a porcelain head to be painted with acrylic paints. This operation requires a very clean working area because of the dust and debris that gets trapped in the glaze. The things that I'm going to be using, I've got my head. I'm using a glove because we want the head to be completely free of any oil from your hands or anything like that. So make sure that the head has been scrubbed with alcohol or detergent and very clean. And I have something called glass and tile primer, which is mostly alcohol, which I'm going to dab some of that on before I put the glaze on, because I think that'll take care of any oil residue that might be on the head. And these are the brushes I'm going to use to apply the glaze. And this is the glaze that I'm going to use. After experimenting with many different products, this is by far the best that I've found for this purpose. And I've got a ceramic dish for that, clean water, because we need to dilute the glaze a little bit. And we have our wedges, our sponge wedges for distributing the glaze evenly over the head. So this is fairly basic. I like to keep the wedges in the bag so that they are clean. And I'm going to put a little bit of this glass and tile primer from Jo Sonia's just all over. This is going to remove any dust or oil. And it says it has a little bit of resin which allows better adhesion when you apply the glaze. You can't see it. They say it's there, so I guess I'll take their word for it. But I know it has alcohol. And then you just let that dry. It only takes a few minutes to dry. And ready to start glazing. The glaze requires just a little bit of water. So I'm going to put some glaze in the dish. I would say I probably don't need that much. I would say put about half as much water as glaze, maybe. You want it to be a little bit thick, but thin enough to spread over the head easily and smoothly. I'm going to put a couple more drops. So it has just a little bit of a gel texture. Okay. And I like to do a section at a time to just keep it organized, so that I can pounce the glaze in before it has a chance to dry. I just do a section of the head at a time. I'm going to get a sponge ready here, because you have to work kind of quickly. You have to do the pouncing before the glaze has a chance to dry. So I'm going to do the forehead first. I'm going to start like at the eyelids and just spread about to where the parting line is. You can do it in any particular sequence that you like to do it in. I'm just showing you what I would do. Okay, now while it's still wet, pounce with a sponge. If there's too much water, or even if there's the right amount of water, it does tend to form little bubbles on the surface, but continue pouncing until you don't see the bubbles. And as soon as you've got all the areas, the large areas, smoothed out, then I like to use a stippler to get down in any creases and take care of any places where there's still little bubbles. I see a piece of dust. I can remove it with a toothpick and then just touch it up in that spot while it's still wet. There's another one. Okay, now the next area I like to do is the features and the cheeks, the whole lower part of the face. Make sure you get it into the recessed areas. I'm going to stop at the ears and along the chin and the jaw. Turn it so that you can see any place that you might have missed. I use the corners to get down in the creases. Okay, now I think the next portion I'm going to do, while I let the face dry, I'm going to do the two ears. You might want to grab another sponge if you think that one is not doing a good job smoothing out the paint, because it does get kind of loaded with glaze. But I'm just going to be doing the back of the head now, so I don't think it's going to hurt anything. Okay, now I'm going to do the forehead. Is already almost dry. I'm going to do the neck next. I'm just going to use the hole to hold it. You see how quickly it dries. The forehead is already dry to the touch. So if I touch the forehead on the towel, it's not going to hurt anything. But I'm going to hold it up just in case. And I'm going to do half of the back of the head. And the other half. I'm not going to glaze this flat area. I'm just going to let that dry, and I think it might be a good idea to let that cure for 24 hours before beginning to paint.